Hi, Betsy. Thank you for being here with me today.
Hi, Jill. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really glad to have you. As I've mentioned to you before, I feel like window treatments are like a big sticking point with people. And so we
Mhm.
love providing our audience with, experts like yourself to come on and talk about these things to help everybody because everyone just gets stuck in their head, overwhelmed, stressed. So having somebody like you on to talk about it, I think is going to be great.
Yeah,
Anyway, let's start with tell us a little bit about yourself and Bumblebee Blinds.
absolutely. Let's see. So I started my career as an elementary school teacher, and then I went on to my most fulfilling role of full-time mom. I have three kids. I have a 17-year-old daughter and 16-year-old twin boys. And when those boys went off to kindergarten, I kind of said, okay, what now? What am I doing? Who am I? And that was the year 2014.
Mhm.
And that's when I went into interior design, and I've been having the time of my life doing it ever since. But the truth is I would take the projects that I was working on up to what I would consider the finish line, and it truly wasn't the finish line. I would pass off the window treatment aspect. I'd say call XYZ or call this person, and it just wasn't fulfilling the need that I wanted for my clients. And
Yeah.
from there, Bumblebee Blinds came about.
Yeah, because it is a whole other animal. You and I spoke about that, like in my interior design business. It's a whole other animal in so many ways. And it's
Mhm.
funny because I didn't know that you and I have a very similar story. It was when my first one went off to kindergarten that I sort of realized it was time to do something else. And that's when I became a designer too. So that's a really
That is
similar.
really funny.
Yeah, we'll have to chat about that sometime because that was like an interesting progression of how that went. But yeah, so no, I think that's really great. And I think that as designers, we've seen, like we've said, it's a different animal and whatever. I think for clients too, they get really stuck and overwhelmed with it.
Mhm.
And they'll move into a new house. And let's say in a lot of cases in our area, they've come from the city. So they have way more windows than they've ever had before.
Mhm.
And it's an investment for sure. They don't know what products to put where. Like, do I put a blind? Do I put a drape? Do I put both? What do I do for hardware? Um, so I thought we could start with like, let's share with the audience kind of like an overall strategy, maybe some tips to help people figure out, okay, how do I even begin to tackle, all these windows that I have,
Right, right. Well, I think actually the most important thing is for people to realize that they don't have to be intimidated. They don't have to call us to tackle everything at once. We can
Right.
certainly come in, we can do that one window, we can do that first room. And I think that's
Mhm.
something that's different about us in the Northeast is mostly we're not new construction. We're
Yeah,
renovating older homes. So it's okay to just do one room at a time or one window at a time.
that's so
And you
true.
have the comfort level with us and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's so nuanced. There's so many selections. It can be so overwhelming.
Mhm.
And we we have all the options, and we try to take the overwhelming aspect out of the process for our clients.
Yeah, and I always say to clients to start in stages and like maybe start with your need first, meaning there's going to be some rooms where you absolutely just need the privacy.
Mhm.
Right? And so let's start there because you need the covering, you need the privacy.
Right.
And you can do it in phases. And I'm assuming, do you guys also help guide when you go into a room to say, I think we should do a flat Roman shade versus a drape versus like, do you guys also help with that if the client's like, I'm not really sure? And let's say they're not using a designer?
Totally. I mean,
Yeah.
we work with all types. We have people who bring us in, and it's misleading. It's our name is Bumblebee Blinds. People think
Yeah.
we're selling blinds. I can tell you, I think I sold my first set of blinds like this past month. We
Yeah.
sell like soup to nuts, every single window treatment, window covering that you can possibly imagine. But when people call us in, all they know is that they've got a need to fix something, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's too much light is coming in, whether they need privacy, whether there's like an airflow exchange, or whether they just want to decorate their window.
Yeah.
We kind of find out what that need is and how we can meet it.
And that's the other thing too. We talk a lot about, I know as a designer I help people with like light filtering, right? So it's like how much light do you want coming in the room? And in a bedroom some people want blackout, some people don't. And it's funny cuz you had a little trivia thing on your Instagram today about The darker the room, the better you remember your dreams. Did I get that right?
That's true. You
Right?
got it.
And there's like a study about it, which is so interesting to me.
Absolutely.
I gotta look at that. But it's funny because some people just any amount of light coming in, it really bothers them. Other people, it's like if I have blackout, like I'll never wake up. Everyone's a little bit different.
Right.
But then there's just other rooms where it's like, well, I don't need a ton of privacy, but the sun comes in pretty bright in the afternoon. So all those things are definite, considerations that I'm sure you walk your clients through to help. Okay, what's going to be the best solution here for this space and still look, nice, keeping up with your decor and all of that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have all different kinds of, on top of the window treatments, the liners. So we kind
Yes.
of zero in on the need and then we figure out what's the best lining to go with it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I noticed on your website too, you guys have a visualizer. So I thought
Mm,
that was really good because let's say somebody's looking at a certain product you guys offer, they can upload the visualizer and get kind of an idea too, which I thought was nice. Like even if before they meet with you to say, "Hey, I was looking at this," or even the designer can say, "Hey, I
totally.
was looking at this. What do you think?"
I'm so happy you mentioned that. I mean, I think that is a really awesome tool that we have. And
Yeah.
actually we're just about to launch our new updated one.
Oh,
But
good.
I mean, for somebody that people shop on Pinterest all the time and they can
Mhm.
say, I really, really like the look of this, but I
Yeah.
don't know what it's going to look like on my house. Well, now we can
Yeah.
show them. It's really
I
fun.
love that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really great feature. So, we talked about it and hopefully after this people are going to go to your website. But you do offer everything. And I want people to know through Bumblebee, you can even get custom. So if you want a special fabric or a trim, and Betsy has a background as an interior designer, so she is versed in doing this. But let's talk about your product line in general and let people know all the different products that you do offer.
Oh my gosh. I mean, how long do you have? No, I'm
I
just
know,
kidding.
right? But
We
if you
have,
wanna, like, just touch on some of the ones that maybe are, I don't know, maybe more commonly asked for or used or
yeah,
however you wanna
absolutely.
do it, but you do kinda offer the whole thing. So I do want like you said, you don't want it a misnomer, like it's just Bumblebee blinds, like one type of blind. It really covers everything.
Absolutely. I mean, we have solars,
Mhm.
rollers,
Oh, good. Yep.
um, panels,
Mhm.
wovens,
Mhm.
naturals, soft treatments,
Yep.
and my favorite are our shutters. We have a
Yeah,
really, really, really nice line of shutters.
and we're gonna get into that too because 'cause I'm a big Shutter fan. You have drapery hardware as well, right?
Totally. Lots of
Yeah.
great options on that. Yes.
Okay. So
Mhm.
really it is everything. And like I did say, you and I spoke about it. If somebody wants a custom fabric, right? Or they're working with a designer and they're going to choose a fabric or a trim, you guys can do that. Or you can even do some of the sourcing too, right? I think you said.
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have from our vendors, we have probably 1,000 to 2,000 options for fabrics.
Wow.
And if that's not enough, I have access to them as a designer. Plus, we
Right.
work with tons of designers who
Hmm.
just will say, like, let's order this as a COM,
Yep.
and we'll just send the fabric on into our vendors and a beautiful product results.
Yeah. So I just want everyone to know you can do bespoke treatments through Bumblebee, which I
Absolutely.
think is great. So we are going to talk about shutters because I'm a big fan of them for a few reasons. I just think they're architectural, they're clean. I
Mhm.
think from the outside they look great, from the inside they look great, they're easy, you can filter light. I use them, I have them in my powder room, I have them in bathrooms. Sometimes I'll use them in a guest bedroom. Um, you can combine them with a lower shutter and an upper blind. There's a
Mhm.
lot of choices, and what I find interesting is when I bring them up to clients, they're like, "I never thought of that." And then when they think of it and they're like, "Oh my god, that's perfect. I love it." I think it's funny people just don't think of it that much.
Totally.
Um, but I love shutters I think they are so useful. So I'll get your take on shutters that because you just mentioned that too, because you have a full line of them.
Yeah. Well, I just like you, I absolutely love them. I think
Yeah.
that you can take an old window and you can
Yeah.
pop a shutter on it and it
Yeah.
looks new and fantastic.
Yeah.
Just like you, I love the clean lines.
Yeah.
Um, I love this is a really cool thing. They are the only window treatment
Mhm.
that adds value to a home. So when a realtor goes in and does an appraisal, they're considered a fixed item and
Yep.
they actually add value to the home appraisal, which is super cool.
I've heard that. And, they're just so architectural. They also really solve a problem. They just, I don't know. I've used them in just various areas where nothing else is going to work well, and the
Yep.
shutter solves it. So,
Mhm.
depending on what's happening in the room and whatever, it can really, and also ease of cleaning is so great.
Mhm. Totally. Well, and actually we from our different vendors, we sell tons and tons of different kinds of shutters.
Shutters,
However,
yeah.
we have our own private label one, and
Yeah.
I personally tout it as the very best. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
best in class warranty. So let's just say you install it in your baby's nursery, right?
Yeah.
And when they're 2, they use a Sharpie on the shutter.
Yeah.
We'll replace it, no questions asked.
Wow.
And then that same shutter, like when they're 16 and they sneak out of their bedroom, we'll also replace it, no questions asked. I mean, it is awesome. It's antimicrobial. It cleans easily.
Yep.
Not gonna swell with it, like, shifts in temperature. It's
Yep.
not gonna patina over time. I really, really like them. They're a great option.
Do you guys use different materials? Like, do you use a wood shutter and then a composite as well? You can do either.
Absolutely. We
I mean,
sell wood and composite, but more often than not, people are going for the composite. They're just
same.
antimicrobial, they're clean.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously in bathrooms, it's the better one to use,
Totally.
but even and I even find the finish, I have to say it hasn't happened, but I almost think even with a magic eraser, if somebody like, if you did get crayon or marker, I wonder if
Mhm.
it would come off. I don't know. I don't know if it would lift any of the finish, but, um,
On the
when you talk about on the shutter, on the composite
Yeah.
finish,
No, the
um,
composites definitely clean much more easily than the wood, for
right.
sure. Yeah.
But it's nice you replace them, and then you offer, I'm assuming, different, like, stain finishes and colors?
Yes. So for
Mm.
the wood ones, we do.
Yeah,
You can do your own color match. We have a whole variety of colors that our vendors make.
yeah,
The white one, I mean, sorry, for our own private label ones, we
yeah,
have about 4 different variations of white,
yep,
and
which
then
is
we have
great. Yep. Oh, that's good. Yes,
Mhm.
that's really
And for
cool.
all those, like, modern new windows that are
I was
black.
about to say with the
Mhm,
black trim, that probably
mhm.
works ideal for that.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm just a huge fan, and so I can't say enough. So to everybody out there, if you haven't considered a shutter, consider a shutter. And I will
absolutely.
say from the outside of the house, they look awesome too. That architectural element of it, I do understand why they consider it like an addition to the house in that
Yeah,
way.
absolutely, and I'll tell you a story. We just recently did a house that had black windows,
Yeah.
and we selected white shutters,
Mm.
and for a moment, I had a concern about what they were going to look like from the street, and it
Yeah.
looks awesome. It really looks great.
It really does from the
Yeah.
street. Like, I love
Mhm.
mine from the street. You do wood slat blinds then as well, I'm assuming too?
We do, not
Yeah.
very often in the Northeast, but we sure do sell them, yes.
Yeah, for a while though here, I do feel like they were really popular, and I still have clients that like them in certain office settings,
Mhm.
like library office type settings,
Yes.
and sometimes a family room, but yeah, I feel like they were popular for a while here, but you're right, it might trends change.
Right, totally change, and actually, the laws changed on cords,
Mm,
and a lot of people are having broken wood slat blinds right now, so, honestly, for the first time last week, I had a client call me to replace the wood slat blinds, which I was surprised by.
is it because the strings that connect the slats, are those the strings that become a danger?
No, it's actually there's no as of June 1st,
Yeah,
no more corded window treatments can be sold in the US. It's gone.
mm,
It was, like a strangulation hazard. So, any window treatment that you have with a cord, if it needs to be fixed, it would
yeah.
have to be replaced at this point in time. And interestingly enough, that could come up on a home inspection as well.
So they can't even split the cord like they were for, remember, weren't they splitting it for safety or something? But then
Exactly. Yep, they
or
were
putting
splitting
the
the
cleats
cord.
in. So
Yep.
that's interesting.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so all the more that leads me to motorized window treatments. They
Bingo.
become so popular, and so now really is that the probably the most maybe safety proof thing you can do because there's no cords?
Well, I mean, we still offer cordless options where you just kind of like lightly pull up from the
Yeah, the
bottom.
push and pull, which is
Correct.
nice.
Correct. And then surprisingly, continuous cord loop is still available because it has a tension that can pop on the side to
Mm,
come off of the wall. But to answer your question, I mean, more often than not, people just want motorized window options right now. And surprisingly, there's a big difference between motorized and automated. And with
Okay.
that comes all different kinds of price points.
Right, so I know that there's some that there's actually a motor that you have to install. Some are more battery operated remote, so they have like a signal, it's different, right?
Right. So I mean, we sell motorized window treatments that have a battery in them,
Yep.
but I mean, they're noisy. You do have
Yeah.
to replace the batteries. Then we have ones that have a lithium battery that you
Yep.
can just recharge. Up to 800 up and down uses before
Yeah.
you have to charge it again. You just as simple as putting in a phone charger.
Wow.
And then like varying price points, entry level price points on those. So they're really, really ideal. A lot of people are selecting those these days.
Yeah, and I wanna say to people too, sometimes you have a larger window, they're good for that, they're good for things that are higher up.
Mhm.
We had to cover, we did a house in Newport, and we had some transoms in a bedroom that let in so much light that we had to put some kinda covering because
Mhm.
they just never would have been able to sleep in the morning past sunrise. And so they were so high up, they were transom, we had to put them on a remote with a battery. So you really do have to consider that, and, like you said, they last a while. You don't it's not like you're constantly recharging,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then for a kid's room or a nursery, it probably is a nice option as far as safety, right? Because
It's
you don't have
safe,
to deal.
it's easy. I mean, we have them in my daughter's bedroom, and she has 6 windows, and it's so nice just to hit one button and all 6 go up and down at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other thing. If you have multiple that you're putting up and
Yeah.
down at the same time, I think the remote is totally key to that.
Correct. Well,
Yeah.
it's funny, I just recently replaced them for a client, and she had 6, windows in her bedroom, and she said every single morning she would get up and she would do the continuous cord loop, and she's like, "You guys don't understand how much time you just saved in my day," and not only that, hers are on an automation schedule. So at,
You can
like,
timer.
8 o'clock in the morning, they go up on the weekends, and at 6:30 in the morning, they go up on the weekdays, which is really nice.
That's really nice. So I have a question. Is the continuous cord loop still considered safe that it's safe?
It is.
Okay, because I only wonder about that when it does come loose from the cleat, it's like a hanging loop, so I didn't know if it
Agreed. Agreed,
right?
but it's usually they're little beads on a string.
Yeah, the little chain pull.
Correct, and if given weight on it, that you can pop it and then obviously put it back together, but
Right,
it's safer than a cord.
yeah. But, I mean, there are some that we've installed, not recently, but it's a continuous cord loop, like, it is an actual cord on a cleat, and
Mhm.
if that comes off the cleat so those would be no longer up to code, right?
Those are up to code, but there's something in the top of it, in
Mhm.
the handrail
Yeah.
that has a tension that will pop if given weight on it.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah,
that's what makes it safe.
correct. Yes.
Okay, good to know, really
Yeah.
good to know. Yeah, so I think people, because when you add motorized to a certain window treatment, it does up the price by I'm not sure how much the percentage is and if it's a flat percentage really, I don't know, you could answer that, but it may very well be worth your investment.
Totally. Yeah. I mean,
Right?
it's one of those things that, sometimes I go into a house and right away people are like, how much more is a motorized window treatment?
Right.
And it's so hard to say because it all depends on the size of the window, the width of the window, the height of the window. But I
Yes,
will
you gotta quote
say
it.
we do have an entry level motorization, which
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty keen on. It's called the wand.
Yeah.
And it looks almost like, the on a blind where you would twist the stick and it would open and close the
Yes. Yes.
it looks identical to that, and it has 3 buttons on it: up, down, and stop. And
Love that.
literally, you can just add a phone charger to it to charge it up, and
Oh, I
it's maybe an entry price point additional $150 to add that to any window treatment.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do realtors consider it an addition to the house the way they do, shutters? I was just curious because I feel like motorized ones, you can sort of leave in the house as like a fixture. I wonder.
You would think, but from an appraisal standpoint, I'd love to argue that. But from an
I
appraisal standpoint, right now, it's only the hard fixed, shutters that are
Yeah,
add
because
value.
I consider it if you've motorized it, it's kind of a hard fix thing. People aren't taking those with them, and I don't know.
I mean, actually, I consider any window treatment you put in, apart from panels, to be a fixture to that house.
Well,
I mean,
you're right,
everything you
actually.
make is custom and it's bespoke and it's made specifically for that space. So
Yeah.
if you're taking it, it more than likely is not going to fit where you're intending to put
Yeah.
it.
I just feel like it's funny. We'll see if that changes at any point, if it's motorized, if it would become, an additional the way the shutter is.
Absolutely. It'd be
'Cause I
great.
I feel like it totally could. It'd be interesting to see how that evolves, and I don't know who makes that decision, but
Right.
whatever, right?
Exactly.
So you've chatted a little bit about it, but let's walk people through the process. If really right from the beginning, if they see Bumble Bee Blinds, they're like, okay, I need window treatments. Give kind of a step by step of how that works once they reach out and contact you and how that would work.
Right. Okay. So you can go on our website. You can find us on Instagram. Give us a call. Hop on our schedule, and then we have a free design consultation. So we'll come to your house, and based on the number of your windows, like fair to say, it's anywhere between an hour and 2 hours.
Mhm.
And we buzz over in our super obnoxious bright yellow. I call it showroom on wheels. We've named it Buzz. Which if you see Buzz in the wild, snap a picture, we'll give you $100 off your products. So
I
we
love
buzz
it.
over in Buzz, and I mean, we try to make it super, super simple, non-intimidating. We're going to come in, we're going to have you show us your windows. Sometimes while we're there, we're like, do you want us to measure other rooms? We can just have
Right.
it in a quoting system for later.
Right.
We're going to go through all of the product. We're going to talk about, make our recommendations about what we're recommending is probably the best solution for your place.
Yep.
Thinking about, but like form and function.
Yep.
And then our goal is we have a laser measurer. We take measurements, and we try to give you an on-site quote. If not,
Okay.
it's same day quote.
Oh, that's great.
Absolutely. And then if you decide to go ahead, we have our installers come out and they do a precise measure
Yep.
because it's, made specifically for your space.
Sure.
And the very next day after your order's placed, it goes into production with our vendors, and we take care of everything from the measure to the install.
Yeah, that's great. And so part of that appointment will include them picking, once you say, okay, we're going to do this type of shade here, they can pick their fabrics. If it's a shutter, you're going to pick their color. So that
Mhm.
all will happen then. Like you mentioned, when you said, even if there's a room you're not going to do now, and we do this with, the workrooms. If we're measuring for a couple rooms while they're at the house, we do have them take the measurements for the other rooms, because chances are, and even if you're not calling right away, you can keep that in that client's file, and they can call and be like, okay, I'm ready to do that den, and
Exactly.
I think this is the product I want to use. So I think that is a really smart thing to do.
Exactly. And listen, we're going to come out either way. We'll come out for a second
Of
visit.
course. Of
But it
course.
might help them, it might help them like, hey, I know you took the dimensions on those windows. Can you give me like a rough estimate? Is it going to be the same, different? And
Right.
just to make them feel good before we come out again.
Oh, entirely. You know what? There was something I was just going to ask you and it slipped my mind. Matt, 1 second. See? Um,
About our showroom, about our products. What was it?
it
Let's see.
totally slipped my mind. I had the next question.
I'm glad it's you because it's going to be me next.
Um, okay. Well, one thing I will ask, but then I don't know the exact question, but maybe it'll lead me to it. So you have the showroom on wheels. That way, you have samples of the products, samples of the materials, and then do you guys have actual showrooms as well, or that really is the showroom, the mobile showroom?
All right, that's a great question. So we have a by appointment only showroom in Westport. And
Mhm.
it really, I mean, we have a minute selection of our offerings in the
There.
showroom.
Okay.
Maybe it shows you one or two different motors, but
Yeah.
really everything lives in our van. Absolutely
Okay.
everything lives in that van.
I know what I wanted to ask you too. What is the lead time? And I'm assuming it could vary by product, but what is the rough lead time from the time somebody places an order to the time the installation date gets scheduled?
That's a great question. It varies. It
Okay.
varies like by our vendors. Ironically, some of the most bespoke items, like the soft treatments, the
Yeah.
Romans that we're using COM for,
Yeah.
they're our fastest products.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, our workroom flips those around quickly,
Mhm.
assuming that your material arrives to them, within a
Right.
quick amount of time.
Yeah.
We like to tell people we'd rather have people be, surprised than disappointed. So we
Sure.
tell our clients, around consider it around 5-week lead time.
Okay.
And then once it goes into production, we
Mhm.
can see. So we'll let our clients know, like, okay, it's in production, it's shipping. And then once it arrives, we do the inspection and then we call and set up the
And set
install.
up the installation. Okay,
Mhm.
that's great. So when they get a quote from you, that includes that you've come out, you've measured, you've consulted, and then it's the installation as well. It's like soup to nuts.
Correct.
Yeah,
The
that's
whole thing.
awesome.
The whole thing. Yes.
Love that. Love that. That's just great. So, to the audience, just mentioning, so Betsy is located in Fairfield County, Connecticut. So if you're in our area, and I don't know if you service anything outside this county, you can let them know. If, I don't know if you do Westchester.
So right now we can service outside of Fairfield County. Yes.
Okay.
Our showroom is in Westport. We
Yep.
have all of Fairfield County, and for the time being, we can service outside of. So feel free to give us a call if you're outside of Fairfield County.
Great. And then for those listening outside of the state of Connecticut, there are Bumble Bee Blinds in your area. You just go to their website, and I think you put in your zip code and you could find a Bumble Bee Blinds near you. Is that right, Betsy?
Totally. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So this has been great. And we really just scraped the surface because, with window treatments, like with so many other things, there's so many details and specifics. And that's why you need a professional like Betsy to guide you. And I think with her background of also being an interior designer, she can even go the extra mile and know really a lot of the other technical things to help you, optimally. But having said that, any kind of last tips or advice for people, who've moved and they're like, oh my God, I have 40 windows and it's going to be $8 gajillion and I'm never going to get to this, right?
Right. Right. I
Any
think
kind of best
I think
tip?
our number one tip is, just don't be intimidated by the process. Call us.
Yeah.
We got to start somewhere, right?
Right.
Us, we'll do that one window.
Yeah.
And then don't be afraid of layering. I love layering, like
Yeah.
adding 1, 2 window treatments like you spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
The consultation's free, so you also
That's
shouldn't be
great.
intimidated by that.
Yeah.
And I also think like, one of my biggest pain points in the past was just it seemed like a big old waste of my time. I was, waiting for quotes and estimates and waiting for people to call me back. Like that is our biggest selling point is that we try to make the process easy and we promise, customer service is our number one most important thing. And we are going to get that quote to you in a timely amount of, in a quick amount, Matt.
Yeah. In a timely manner, of
Yeah,
course.
in a timely manner. And we just want to work with our clients and make them happy.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to kind of debunk, I think people feel like too, they have all these windows and they feel like they have to put the exact same treatment on every window.
Right.
I hear that a lot. I'm gonna just say it say it for the people in the back. You do not have to use the same thing. So if you use shutters in one room, you don't have to use
Uh,
shutters on every window. If you use because people bring that up a lot and they think it all has to be the
I
same.
I can't tell you how much I love you that you're saying that. I had a gentleman who came out and visited us, and he said, I was driving around and I noticed I looked in one house and I saw 3 different types of window treatment.
Yeah. Oh, you
And
just
that's so peculiar. We don't have that where I live. And he lived in Texas. And
right.
what happens is sometimes when a new construction goes, that's what somebody does is it's fast, it's easy, and they throw everything in at the same time.
Right.
In Connecticut, our homes are older. We're
Yeah.
attacking one room at a time. We're making the
Yeah.
best selection for that space.
Yes. But I even find, don't you find around here even new construction? I've done some new construction where there's just they haven't put window treatment, so it's up to the client when they do their interior decorating and
Yes.
design.
Yeah.
So I don't know, here in general, we might just do it different, or they'll put up just something really simple all
Mhm.
throughout. And so when you're decorating the room, that's the other thing I tell people like, yeah, you got to go where you need it first. You need privacy. You can do it in phases. And then the other rooms where you don't need it right away, when you get to actually designing and decorating that room, that's when you can put the window treatment that's going to coordinate too. So, like you said, you have to start somewhere and it can all be done. But so many times I hear like, oh my God, we have, X amount of windows. And like, how is this ever going to happen? But it does happen. It does,
It
you know?
does. It does. And I think sometimes people think, I mean, you can look at it both ways. It can be the jewelry on top. It can be
Yep.
the last thing that you do when you're
Yep.
finished the room, but it also can very much be a part of the design process. Because let's
Definitely.
say, for example, we're doing panels. we
Yeah,
might be thinking like, okay, if we're putting panels on the either side of this window, there's not going to be room to place that chair where we want to place it. So it
that's
also
right.
can be integrated into the design process and not just at the end of the process.
Or we're not gonna put artwork on that wall because we're doing the drapery panels in such a way they're gonna sit partially on the wall, and that's
Right?
gonna yeah, I mean, you definitely have to consider all of those things for sure.
Totally.
So I think that's also really smart advice. So this has been really great. I think, it just gives people a glimpse into sort of just how to even begin to tackle it, and to know that there's professionals in the field like yourself that can guide them and help them, and they can do it, and they can get the right product for each room, and each room does not have to be the same. I'm saying it again.
Thank you. Thank you.
um, so anyway, let us know the best platforms you're on, Instagram, etc., what the handle is, and the website. We put that all in the show notes for everybody, so it's all clickable. So this way, anyone listening to the show, to the audience, you can just click in the show notes to get right in contact with Betsy. So Betsy,
Perfect.
just let us know that, and we'll close the show with that.
Sure. I mean, you can reach us at 203-937-2121. Follow us on Instagram. We have fun on Instagram. It's Bumblebee Blinds Fairfield CO.
Okay.
And we are on Facebook, but not as present on Facebook as we are on Instagram.
And then just go to bumblebeeblinds.com for the website, right? And
Correct. And it will
put your
take you
zip
to
code
our
in.
page. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, great. This has been awesome. I really appreciate it all. I think your background just it makes it such a great synergy with the whole thing.
Oh, thanks. And I loved our time together. Thanks so much for having me, Jill.
I did too. I hope you have a good day, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you. Take
Take
care.
care.